Good evening, everyone. Tonight, in President Biden's CNN town hall, you will hear many of the same platitudes about his administration's tax and spend agenda, what they call reconciliation, similar to what you heard during the president's speech to fellow Pennsylvanians in Scranton just yesterday. Folks, make no mistake about it, this so-called reconciliation bill is the largest expansion of government in our history and is very, very important for Americans and all of you to know what exactly is in this bill. The Democrats are adding everything, led by their progressive leadership. They're putting everything in it but the kitchen sink into what is really a big socialist spending plan. The Build Back Better agenda should be called the Build Back Broke agenda, includes $2 trillion in tax hikes on American families and businesses. Large businesses and all our small businesses will be affected by these tax increases. There will be $500 billion for paid family leave that honestly will be ripe for abuse. This is an issue that was addressed during the Trump administration, recently extended, recently improved, and yet we're extending it to the tune of $400 billion, which will, of course, weaken our workforce availability. $400 billion, almost $500 billion for government-funded child care. Child care is important, but $400 billion when we can least afford it? $100 billion to grant amnesty to nearly 10 million illegal immigrants. Everybody, well, just about everybody, thinks that's absolutely ridiculous. $80 billion to expand the IRS, to create an army of 87,000 new agents to increase audits on Americans and American businesses. A huge expansion of the IRS. That sounds great, doesn't it? $70 billion for green new energy special interests and the Green New Deal. $54 billion in tax increases on people whose family member has just passed away by expanding the death tax and getting rid of the exemption, and $3.5 billion for a civilian climate corps. This one's a real beauty. A civilian climate corps, uniform climate corps, nearly 1 million people the federal government's going to hire for this. $200 million for a park in Nancy Pelosi's district, and $20 million for butterflies. I can't yet figure out what those butterflies are going to do with $25 million. All of this would, of course, increase our nation's debt significantly and drive inflation to even higher levels, soon followed by interest rates, shades of the 70s. You can see from what I just laid out why I strongly oppose this so-called reconciliation bill. The Democrats, led again by the progressives, which I like to refer to as the regressives, and they have put a hard infrastructure bill hostage to this reconciliation bill. I am for a real transportation infrastructure bill. But again, the progressives/regressives have made it completely dependent upon the largest tax and spend bill that is $2 trillion in new taxes and at least $4 trillion, if not more than that, in new spending, after a year that we spent over $5 trillion in recovery from COVID. We cannot afford this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a battle of big government socialism versus free market capitalism, which we're going to win. Because it's really up to us to make sure that this country remains the greatest country on earth for ourselves and our posterity. So thank you. See you all soon.